Good morning, Britain. Freedom in your hands. Compulsory face masks scrapped and mandatory social distancing ditched.
The state won't be telling you what to do, but you will want to exercise a degree of personal responsibility and judgment.
Live with COVID like the flu, but are you ready to get back to normal on July the 19th? The George Cross for all NHS staff. Today, the Queen will honour the entire health service with Britain's highest civilian award. But calls this morning for them to get cash, not claps and medals. Are our pandemic heroes being denied the pay rise they deserve?
Unbelievable!
Lions on the crest of the wave. Can England break the curse of the semis and head all the way to the final?
Fans fuming and a shock return. Shannon joins us live. The Love Island latest coming up.
Sunshine and showers in the north, dry and fine in the south, but the outlook is for wet and windy weather overnight tonight. I'll have all the details of that and more live on Good Morning Britain, Epsom.
Monday, 5th of July, 2021. Live from Television Centre in London. This is Good Morning Britain with Charlotte Hawkins.
A very good morning to you. It's 6 o'clock Monday morning. We are with you all the way through till 9 with Richard Madeley and Susanna here from 6:30. First, our top story. The Prime Minister is expected to tell the nation later Freedom Day will happen, and it's just 2 weeks away. But as Boris Johnson prepares to scrap rules around masks, bubbles and social distancing, he will urge the public to use their own judgment and remain aware of the risks of COVID, with cases expected to continue to rise over the coming weeks. Our chief correspondent, Richard Gaisford, is at Henham Park in Suffolk for us this morning. Good morning, Richard. So Latitude Festival is going to be held there later this month, and the news coming later must be, I imagine, extremely reassuring for the organisers of it.
Yeah, that's right, Charlotte, because just 3 days after these restrictions are expected to be fully removed, this place springs into life. The main stage that they've been building across the weekend starts hosting bands. 40,000 people are going to be here in the fields, camping, dancing, singing, having lots of fun. It was always going to be run as a test event with lateral flow testing. Now, though, people can attend and the organisers will know this is fully within the law. There are no issues either inside or outside of the festival site. The government telling us it's now our responsibility to start taking responsibility for keeping ourselves and others safe. We're going to get the full details later from the Prime Minister and expect that caveat that if the data changes, if things start to move in the wrong direction over the next week, well, then they could change everything that they have planned and they're announcing today. If it seems a long time since festivals like this, then that's because it is. But later this month, the Latitude Festival finally returns to Suffolk.
Everybody will either be fully vaccinated and or tested, and that will create effectively a very large bubble. A much bigger bubble than has happened at any other music festival in the world.
The government's expected to restore people's freedoms in 2 weeks' time. The Prime Minister today outlining how he plans to do it, but the public urged to use their own judgment.
We are going to, I think, now move into a period where there won't be legal restrictions. The state won't be telling you what to do, but you will want to exercise a degree of personal responsibility and judgment.
I know people are vaccinated and they stop wearing their masks, but I think you should still be careful.
I won't be wearing a mask. I don't feel it as if it really does what we think it's doing.
I think I will still wear it in confined spaces, shops. It's common sense, isn't it, at the end of the day?
So from the 19th of July, it's more than likely goodbye to compulsory face masks, the 1 metre social distancing rule, the rule of 6 indoors, and scanning QR codes before going into bars and restaurants. But with the Delta variant running rampant, some scientists say it's all too soon.
I certainly won't be going anywhere near a bus, a train, a shop, or anything else, because even if I'm wearing my mask, if other people are not, the virus will be floating in the air.
In another sign that Freedom Day really is looming, bubbles will also finally burst in schools, possibly replaced by daily testing. just one of many ideas being floated as normality resumes, despite coronavirus still being very much in town. Richard Gaisford, Good Morning Britain.
The Queen has recognised the contribution of all NHS staff today, awarding the National Health Services of the UK the highest civilian honour, the George Cross. In a personal, handwritten message, the Queen said NHS staff have carried out their work with courage, compassion and dedication for more than 70 years. Lorna Shaddock is at St Paul's Cathedral, where a service will be held later. Morning, Lorna. It's a very well-deserved honour, isn't it? And a timely acknowledgement of all the hard work from our frontline services.
Absolutely, Charlotte. And this award was brought in by the Queen's father, George VI, at the height of the Blitz in 1940. So it's really fitting, isn't it, that it's now being given to NHS staff who, of course, have been on the front line of what has been a real battle against coronavirus. And as you say, the Queen's marked this with a special handwritten message to all NHS staff, talking about how over 7 decades, and especially, she says, in recent times, you have supported the people of our country with courage, compassion and dedication. And those are the qualities really that are going to be celebrated here at St Paul's Cathedral in London later on today at a special service attended by the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, NHS patients, top NHS bosses and of course NHS staff, including matron May Parsons, who administered, you might remember at the end of last year, the world's first ever coronavirus vaccine.
It's tremendously hard to put it into words what I've been through emotionally, mentally and physically. And this service means a lot to me in a way that actually we are in this together, in a way that we're feeling and suffering.
And this does come, though, Charlotte, at a time of some unhappiness for some NHS staff over that proposed 1% pay rise from the government. And we saw some of them out on the streets protesting over the weekend about that. And in fact, some doctors' unions, including the BMA and the Royal College of Nursing, are considering potentially balloting for strike action about that pay rise.
It really does have to be backed up with something more tangible that people will notice in their pockets, because they've had 10 years of pay restraint and have had enormous sacrifices over the last year. It's about time their efforts were fully recognised with a proper pay increase.
Well, meanwhile, lots of iconic buildings across the country were lit up in blue last night to celebrate this 73rd birthday of the NHS. And some of those iconic buildings included vaccination centres across the country. A real reminder, as if any were needed, that we are still far from at the end of what has been a very long battle against the coronavirus.
Lorna, thanks very much for that. And I'll be speaking with Dr. Ashley Price, an infectious diseases consultant and a member of the team who treated the very first coronavirus patients here in the UK. That's in the next 15 minutes. Now, experts in the US have raised concerns about what they see as a premature celebration of freedom from coronavirus. Over the weekend, millions of people gathered to celebrate Independence Day, including around 1,000, mostly mask-free guests of the president at the White House. Our North America correspondent Noel Phillips is in New York with more details on this. Good morning, Noel. And this year, the 4th of July was about far more than just the nation's birthday, wasn't it?
That's right, Charlotte. After 18 months of living in lockdown under isolation and more than 600,000 deaths, for many, these celebrations marked a significant moment in America's recovery from the pandemic. It was a sense of normality on the streets, and you may hear the fireworks still going on behind me. And also, it's worth saying that there were hundreds of thousands of people on the streets today celebrating this country's 245th birthday, and there are plenty of reasons for President Biden to be celebrating. His administration has overseen 157 million people getting vaccinated. So a real triumph for him, but also still a long way to go. It's worth saying at the same time that one former advisor, White House advisor to the president, has raised concern, telling me this morning that there is still a long way to go and that the mission is far from over.
An Independence Day like no other. It was a spectacular show for the 1,000 military families and frontline workers, all invited to join the Bidens at the White House. Despite the fireworks, President Biden fell short of his promised target of getting 70% of people vaccinated this holiday weekend.
While the virus hasn't been vanquished, we know this: It no longer controls our lives.
Across the nation, though, the party atmosphere was electric. Amid the celebrations, new cases of COVID-19 have increased by 10% in the last week, and mass gatherings like this could make it worse.
Well, I am a little worried about large numbers of people gathering, especially with the Delta virus, which is very transmissible, much more transmissible than the Alpha virus.
Travel restrictions between the US and UK are still in place as officials try to control the spread of the Delta variant, which is already accounting for 3 in 5 cases nationally. And with less than half of the American population fully vaccinated, there is still a long way to go before normal life can resume. Noel Phillips, Good Morning Britain.
Well, staying in the US, rescue workers are resuming their search of a collapsed Miami apartment block after it was demolished overnight. The original debris was protected from the explosion, while the remainder of the block was brought down ahead of Tropical Storm Elsa making landfall later this week. 24 people are confirmed dead and 121 are still missing after the unstable residential building collapsed almost 2 weeks ago. Retail workers have suffered a rise in violence and abuse, particularly throughout the pandemic, according to bosses and unions. Today, MPs will debate changes to the government's policing bill that aim to protect shop staff from the attacks, which have increased by 7% to around 450 incidents a day. According to the British Retail Consortium, retailers have invested £1.2 billion in the past year on a range of measures, including body-worn cameras, personal attack alarms and increased security personnel.
The horrible thing is, for some people, they've weaponised COVID, and to have somebody turn around and threaten you with, I will give you COVID, I will spit on you, I will cough on you. It's horrendous.
All the evidence we have demonstrates that the violence and abuse has doubled during this pandemic. This is the members of Parliament's opportunity today to step up to the plate and support these retail workers by giving them the protection that they need whilst in work, and to send a clear message out to those who think it's okay, but it's not, and you'll pay a price in the courts for it.
Now to Wimbledon, and Britain's last hopes for 2021 rest on the shoulders of teen sensation Emma Raducanu. The 18-year-old will face Australian Ajla Tomljanovic in the 4th round clash later today. Nick Dixon is there for us. Good morning, Nick. And it's big pressure, isn't it, for the 338th seed?
Morning, Charlotte. It is big pressure, but let's be honest, she's dealt with it really very well so far, and broken a record too, a long-standing record. First British woman into the last 16 on her Wimbledon debut in 42 years, and I think many felt going into this tournament, of course she had the talent at 18 years old, but just lacked the competitive edge, hadn't played enough matches simply during the pandemic, but she has completely blown that theory out of the water with some very impressive performances, and apparently blissfully unaware of all this fuss about her as well, because apparently she gave her phone to her osteopath for the duration of the tournament, and we'll see her in the 4th round this afternoon, as you say, against Australia's Ajla Tomljanovic later on court 1. In the men's singles, defending champion Novak Djokovic will take on Chile's 17th seed Christian Garin, and Roger Federer in action today, also on court 1, on centre court rather, against Italy's Lorenzo Sonego. As I say, both on centre court from around 1 o'clock today, as you can see now from the order of play. But a lot of the focus today will be on that 18-year-old British girl, Emma Raducanu, who, remember, Charlotte, so far has yet to drop a set in the entire tournament.
Oh, we're keeping everything crossed, aren't we, Nick? Thanks very much for that. 6:14, let's find out now how the weather's looking in Wimbledon and across the rest of the country. Laura's here. She's at Hobbledown Adventure Farm. Good morning, Laura. Have you been making friends there by any chance?
Yes, I have some little wallabies behind me who are watching us, just wondering what on earth we are doing. And later on, I'm going to be meeting some brand new birds of prey that they have here in a new little home they've got. So I've already met them, and they're very noisy, and looking forward to seeing those. We are lucky weather-wise, it is dry. But before I get to the UK weather, I've been off for the last week, and I've just seen so much extreme weather happening all over the world. Last week, of course, the record temperatures in Canada, the wildfires there. But now, over the weekend, wildfires have been raging in Cyprus. The scenes there have been absolutely devastating. Officials there are saying that they're the worst wildfires that they have experienced in Cyprus's history. They've had air support from neighbouring countries. Many areas have been completely obliterated. 20 square miles have been burnt so far. They've had record temperatures there, a prolonged heat wave, and that has helped to fan the flames, with many areas evacuated. 4 people have so far lost their lives. So this is a story that's set to continue, unfortunately, as we head through the coming week, because, as I mentioned, the temperatures there have been high. A prolonged heat wave. These strong winds have been fanning these flames, and we're set to see more hot weather there as we head through the week, but slowly abating and the wind slowly easing, which hopefully will help to ease the situation there. Weather-wise, closer to home though, we had torrential thunderstorms through northern areas yesterday. That gave some localised flash flooding. And there's more wet weather in the forecast today before it calms down, and then we see more wet and windy weather coming in tonight. So this is how it looks, a really messy outlook for the next few days. Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern areas of England, sunshine and heavy thundery showers continuing as we head through the day. Rain for eastern areas will slowly clear away, and actually then most of England and Wales for most of the day today looks largely fine with some decent spells of sunshine. Temperatures a little down on where we were yesterday, high teens, low 20s. And it's less humid, we'll definitely notice that. But cast your eyes to the southwest, because through this evening and overnight tonight, wet and windy weather said to spread right across the UK, unseasonably wet and windy, gales along the south coast, and we could well see a warning being issued from the Met Office, Charlotte.
It's not feeling much like summer yet, is it? Never mind. Laura, thanks very much. More from Laura later. Good morning, Britain's here all the way through until 9 o'clock. Richard Madeley and Susanna will be here from 6:30. And coming up shortly, in her first TV interview since being dumped, only 48 hours after entering the villa, Love Island's Shannon Singh joins Richard Arnold at 6:25 to reveal if she'll be returning to Mallorca. And England's footballers are coming home to face Denmark at Wembley in the semi-finals of Euro 2020 on Wednesday. Knowing victory will earn them a place in a major final for the first time since 1966. Can they do it? Oh, let's hope so. We have all the latest reaction coming up at 6:30 for you. First, let's get the news, travel and weather where you are. See you in a moment. Hello again. Let's take a look at the front pages of the newspapers now. Freedom is in your hands now is the headline on the front of the Daily Mail, as the paper reports on the Prime Minister's position that we must learn to live with COVID as we do with the flu. He's due to unveil further details, including the next steps on social distancing, face coverings and working from home at a press conference this afternoon. The Daily Mirror reports on concern that the lifting of all restrictions could lead to a deadly spike in infections. And the Daily Express leads on news that the NHS will be awarded the George Cross by the Queen for heroism during the pandemic. The award has led to calls for Health Secretary Sajid Javid to give NHS staff a pay rise of at least 5%. Well, staying with the NHS, today marks 73 years since its launch, and to recognise it, there's going to be a special commemoration at St Paul's Cathedral. It comes as Boris Johnson prepares to set out plans for the final unlocking of coronavirus restrictions in England this afternoon. We could speak now to Dr. Ashley Price, one of the first healthcare workers to treat COVID-19 patients in the country. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much for joining us in the studio this morning. I know you've got a busy day ahead, haven't you, with saying some words at the commemoration service at St Paul's later. What will you be saying? How special an event is it for you? What will the message be?
I think it's a huge event to both celebrate the NHS's birthday and also to reflect upon the last year. It's been a real tough year for everybody working in the NHS. It's been difficult in ever so many ways. We've had to deal with a virus. We did not know what its effects were when it first came to the UK. And it's been quite devastating for a large number of people. But the NHS has really, stood up to that challenge, and we've, developed treatments and vaccination ultimately that have really helped to get us through this pandemic. And I think it's been a real show of strength by the NHS, I think, over the last year.
And also, quite rightly, being given this honour that it's got the St George's Medal presented, be awarded by the Queen. She's written a personal letter, hasn't she, just praising everybody and the efforts that they've made, which must be a huge boost, I imagine. All that is great, isn't it? The clap for the carers and everything has been great. People, obviously, so much goodwill to the hard work that's been done. But we do have this issue of a pay rise, don't we, and what's happening with that. And now there are renewed calls for frontline workers, for the people who are putting all the effort, to be paid more. Do you think this is something that should be happening? Because we've got a recruitment crisis at the same time, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, first of all, it's a great honour to be working in the NHS, and I think that today is really a reflection upon that. I think over the next few months and over the next few years, we need to be starting to think about how we remunerate people who work in the NHS properly, and that's something I think that will be discussed over time.
So we'll wait to see what happens with that one. Also, when we look ahead, we're going to have the announcement today, aren't we, from Boris Johnson about exactly what the next Freedom Day will look like. And how worried are you about the whole country going back to normality? And obviously, it sounds like it's going to be left to us as to whether we still wear masks in certain situations. I mean, for everyone to be quite clear, we're by no means over this, are we?
So there's some good news. I mean, we are starting to see less people coming into hospital. I think if we'd have seen the rates we're seeing in the community in the first and second wave, we would have had very many more people coming into hospital at this stage. And that's due to the vaccination. And those who are coming in, the treatments that we've got available are meaning that they are leaving hospital now. But I think that there is still a risk of the virus, not just from hospitalisation, but also long COVID. And I think that we do need to be aware of that. And there are also a lot of vulnerable people in communities who can still get very ill from COVID. So I think that the mask wearing is something that we probably do need to think about very carefully personally. And certainly there are areas like hospitals where we won't be stopping using masks in the near future.
Oh, OK, so you think that that's what things will look like from this point onwards. Interesting, isn't it? OK, well, listen, thank you so much for coming to join us. I know it's a big day ahead, isn't it? We've got the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge who'll be there listening to every word as well. So a special event to mark the 73rd anniversary of the National Health Service. Thanks very much, Dr. Ashley Price, there, for joining us this morning. 6:24, Richard Arnold is here. Good morning to you, Dickie. And the latest Love Island news. Bring us up to date.
I'm still grafting, Charlotte. Last night we saw the boys start grafting themselves to win over New Islander Rachel. And, of course, that eviction a cliffhanger. Now, I'm joined by Shannon Singh, this year's first Love Island evictee, who had a shocking exit after only 48 hours in the villa. Shannon, I was praying for you to be the loose cannon. I was
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's lovely to see you, and thanks for getting up. Well, I was absolutely gutted that you went. But before we chew over, as I say, your shock departure, which came far too soon as far as I and many fans were concerned, what do you think about Brad and Chugs? We've had 72 hours to sit on this, so to speak. Rachel, who will she choose?
You know, it's so hard to say, but me personally, I think that, Brad's had, and I love Brad, I absolutely love him, but I think he's had a lot of time in there now. He's had over a week, Chugs has came in, and I think he deserves an opportunity. So that's my stance on it.
Well, she served up a clanger last night, if you'll indulge me just a second, Shannon. Let's remind ourselves what happened when Rachel struggled to get her lips around the coq au vin.
Can you cook a coq au vin?
I haven't even heard of that.
Wow.
A what?
Wow.
What's a coq au vin? What did he say?
Coq au vin.
What's that?
Duck with wine.
Oh.
En français.
I'll have the canard. Thank you. Answers on a postcard. Shannon, those are the gems, of course, that we love Love Island for. As I say, your stint on the island just too short. How did you feel when you got the text? I mean, your face, you look gutted. I was up to high dough for you.
Do you know what, Richard? It was actually quite funny because looking back, I opened up the text and I was quite smug. Just because I thought I was going to go on another day. I mean, I totally forgot that people got dumped. So it was kind of weird. I kind of felt like I was proper winded when I read it because I was just so shocked.
The fans were very passionate. The fans were very passionate on Twitter, Shannon. Chloe, of course, I'm sure you're aware, got some horrendous abuse. I mean, you must have been shocked, like many of us, at the strength of that reaction.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I love everyone's support. I can't believe the support that I've had. But, I mean, we're in 2021, guys. Our family came out and made the statement about the death threats and stuff that she's getting, which I totally don't condone at all. It's a game show. She's got a job to do. So the fact that she is receiving such, horrible feedback from everyone. It's not really nice, you know. Everyone needs to practice what they preach, which is what be kind.
Absolutely. Hashtag be kind. So, very quickly, Shannon, who do you think's got it in themselves to win it? I mean, it's Jake and Liberty for me all the way at the moment.
Oh, I'm so glad that your team, Libby and Jake, sorry. But yeah, me too. I love Libby. I think she's the only proper, genuine one in there. She's honestly an absolute sweetheart. And I love Jake, but I hope he doesn't break her heart. If they stick together and they don't play into the game too much, I really think they can go the distance.
All the way to that big check as well at the end. As you say, it's just a game show. Shannon, lovely to talk to you this morning. Thanks again for getting up. And of course, Love Island continues with another scorcher tonight at 9 o'clock on ITV2. Back to you, Charlotte.
Oh, who knows what's going to happen next. Richard, thanks very much. Now, coming up next, Richard Madeley and Susanna will be here in just a moment. And this morning, they'll be joined by Earl Spencer to talk about the sinking of the White Ship 900 years ago. It was a tragedy that dramatically changed the course of British history. That's coming up. In the meantime, let's find out what's happening with the weather.
Phew, today's going to be a boiler. Boxed air conditioning. Proud sponsors of Good Morning Britain National Weather.
A very good morning to you from Epsom, where later on I'm going to be meeting some beautiful little owls in their brand new home. I'm really looking forward to that. Weather-wise, it is dry. It was raining earlier on today, and we have a mixed week of weather ahead, pretty much the same as what we've been having so far. Thankfully, not the torrential thunderstorms we had yesterday. They're now clearing away, but low pressure close by means we have showers this morning, but a wet and windy night of weather ahead. The middle of the week stays unsettled, but from midweek onwards, things actually look set to turn that bit drier. And that's pretty much the outlook. Wet and windy to start, turning drier as we head through the week. First thing this morning, though, we still have the legacy of yesterday's showers and thunderstorms through Northern Ireland, northern areas of England, parts of Scotland as well. Outbreaks of rain in the east will soon clear. Then, through much of Wales and southwest England, dry, fine, sunny weather returns, and that spreads its way eastwards. So actually, England and Wales, by and large today, not looking too bad. Some decent spells of sunshine. Not as warm or as humid as it was yesterday, with temperatures into the low 20s. But let's take a look at our 7-day outlook, because yet again we have a real rollercoaster ride as we head through the next 7 days. So for Scotland, Northern Ireland and for northern areas of England, at the moment we have temperatures sitting around about average, perhaps hints it turns a little warmer as we head into the weekend. But percentage chance of rainfall really goes up and down as we head through the week. It's relatively high as we head through the next few days, with bands of rain and thunderstorms, particularly wet and windy as we head towards the middle of the week with thunderstorms, but a trend of things turning drier as we head to the end of the week and into the weekend as well. Fortunes further south for England and Wales. Well, again, temperature-wise, sitting around about average, slowly climbing a little as we head towards the end of the week and weekend. For some, it will then be above average. Percentage chance of rainfall, it again is a hit and miss, because today it's largely dry, but it's wet and windy overnight tonight. That lingers into tomorrow. Yes, we see the risk of thunderstorms come the middle of the week, but then the outlook is for it to turn drier, sunnier and that bit warmer.
For the weather where you are in detail, go to itv.com/weather.